Amen. What it is, this is Damon. I am your host, and this is By Any Means. Man, y'all know the Cash App, man. Everybody that been showing love in the Cash App, I truly, truly appreciate you. And the super chats and the whole nine. Y'all know the Cash App, $ Dean by any means. Y'all know the PayPal at Dean by any means. You see that heart with the $ at the bottom? Well, that's the super chat. You can press that at any time your heart desire. Please say it with me, y'all. I don't care if you leave $1, $10, $1,000. It is much, much, much appreciated, y'all. You know, Bird Gang, champs, champs. Just in case you was wondering, um, I want to talk about something, man, because I was on my man KO panel the other day, and a gentleman came up there by the name of Boxing Hacker. I mean, his name should tell you everything you need to know. But he said something to me that was something I felt as though I needed to address because it's hypocrisy at its finest. And this is my problem with boxing fans, and just boxing as a whole in the climate that we in. He said to me, Dean, why you care about what Shakur getting? You shouldn't care. Why you pocket watching Shakur and what Shakur getting? That shouldn't matter to you. First of all, I gotta address something. Um, can't no boxer talk to the consumer crazy. We are the reason they are rich. Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis ain't never did nothing for me a day in my life. They've never paid me anything. I've paid to watch them. I'm going to say that again. They have never paid me to do anything. I've paid to be in attendance, and I've paid to watch them. Have y'all seen me on YouTube somewhere asking Gervonta Davis to let me hold $1? What about Shakur Stevenson? So to be for real with you, they owe us much more than we ever owe them. They are only rich because of people like me. Gervonta Davis' name is only as big as it is because it's me and a bunch of other content creators that choose to talk about him that keeps his name in the algorithm. Same for Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, and everybody else. They don't talk about a random fan that they met and talk about their daily life. That's number one. Number two is, well, then y'all all owe Gervonta Davis an apology. If you do not care what these fighters make, then why do y'all keep telling Gervonta Davis to give these guys something? I'm about to show y'all the hypocrisy. If you don't care what these fighters make, then why should Gervonta Davis take a penny less than anything he's been getting? Why should Gervonta Davis give Shakur Stevenson a 60-40 split, a 50-50 split? Why should he do that? If you don't care what they make. But you know how you know that that's a lie? Because all y'all do is tell people what Shakur worth is, what Devin Haney's worth is, what Gervonta Davis should do. Y'all tell Gervonta Davis he should send an offer and it should be a fair offer. Why should it be fair? Fair is relative. Fair is selective. Gervonta Davis can do what Canelo Alvarez does and say, I'm taking 80% no matter what. Shakur Stevenson already said that he's not a fan of that deal. But nobody's not a fan of it when it's Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez take 80% of everything. Non-negotiable. So if you don't care what people make, then stop telling Gervonta Davis that he needs to get off of his high horse then. Because he's earned what he's got. He's not asking Shakur Stevenson or any other fighter, Keyshawn Davis, for anything. They are asking him. They know he is their biggest payday. They are not his biggest payday. He don't need them to be on pay-per-view. They need to fight him just as much as he needs to fight them. So that part doesn't even matter at that point. That's just legacy at that point. But as far as when it comes to money, Gervonta Davis don't got to give up anything. Gervonta Davis ain't got to send, even when he sends them an offer, whatever he sends them will be more than they have ever made in their career, period. Even if it is 20%. So if you don't care what these fighters make, then all you're saying is that you don't care how these fights get made then. Well, then if you don't care how these fights get made, then stop arguing about it or being mad when fights don't get made. If somebody ducks somebody, you should have no problem with it. If somebody ducks somebody because of the money, you shouldn't have no problem with it because you don't care what these fighters get paid, right? You're not pocket watching them. So if a fighter think he's worth more, then you're not going to say nothing about it. You shouldn't because you don't care what they get paid, right? So, y'all, for people like Boxing Hacker and Shakur Stevenson fans that's trying to save face right now, even though he's really a Devin Haney fan, for people like that, y'all, if a fighter chooses to not fight because of money, do not call him a duck. If a fighter don't want to send an offer because the other fighter is outpricing himself, do not call that fighter a duck or say he should do something extra. Because you said you don't care what they get paid. No, y'all, you want to know what the actual truth is? They only don't want you to care what fighters get paid when it's their fighter that's getting paid. They only don't care about that when it's the B-side fighter getting what they want. When Terrence Crawford was holding out for more money, B-side mindsets, they was perfectly fine with that. But if Earl Spence would have said, I'm not budging, people would have called him a duck. Those same people would have called him a duck, but wouldn't call Terrence Crawford a duck for asking for more money. I mean, Earl Spence earned it. He was the pay-per-view star. He'd been on pay-per-view, had plenty of pay-per-view success. Did not need to fight Terrence Crawford for that. But he gave it up to satisfy Terrence Crawford, and y'all was telling him he should. And y'all was backing Terrence Crawford move. So, if Gervonta Davis chooses not to do what Earl Spence do not get mad at him because, again, you don't care about what these fighters get paid. Do y'all think before you speak? Nah, y'all just knob gobble and be so ready to be defensive and so ready to defend stuff that you don't even think about the ramifications of what you say. So if you feel that way, that you do not care what these fighters get paid and you just want to see the fights, then don't tell Gervonta Davis to give up anything. He is well within his rights to not want to give up anything. And if he sees it's a bigger payday out there than Shakur Stevenson, do not call him a duck. Because again, you can't tell fighters to not make the money. That's what y'all said about Shakur Stevenson. You see how it all comes around? Y'all said Shakur was going after the biggest bag. So if Gervonta Davis chooses to go after the biggest bag, do not be mad at him about that. If he chooses to rematch Ryangarcia right after Lamont Roach, do not be mad at him because, like y'all said, y'all not mad at people as long as they get in the bag. Y'all wasn't when it came to Shakur Stevenson. Y'all said, Dean, at least he getting paid. When this came out about him being a co-main with Zepeda, y'all said, Dean, at least he getting paid. I want to see how fake you want to be and how fake you want to be to try to determine what put your worth on Gervonta. Well, Gervonta already getting paid. He can't give up. No, he can't. You don't care what fighter's getting paid. Why should he have to do that? He earned it. Why should he have to give up anything to Shakur Stevenson? Shakur Stevenson's a co-main. Would you give up anything to somebody that's a co-main? So y'all ask people to do stuff you would never do. You would never give up $1 at your job because somebody else at your job. You would never do it. Y'all can't mess with me when it comes to this boxing talk. I will use every single thing y'all say against y'all. So since you do not care what fighters get paid, if Gervonta Davis finds a bigger payday, if it's Loma, if it's Ryangarcia, if it's T.O., if it's whoever, it doesn't matter. If he goes to fight Jake Paul, y'all should be okay with it because, again, you don't care as long as the fighter's getting paid. Or is it that as long as it's your favorite fighter that's getting paid? But fighters that you don't like, you don't care how much they get paid or what they giving up or what they shouldn't give up or none of that. Which one is it? So Gervonta Davis fight Jake Paul, y'all shouldn't criticize him because, again, dang, at least he getting his money. At least he getting his money. We can't pocket watch. We can't tell somebody what they worth. We shouldn't be worried about what these fighters making. Then don't worry about what Gervonta Davis making. If he sent Shakur Stevenson a 20% offer, a 15% offer, and then give him a percentage on the back on pay-per-view, it'll still be more than he has ever made. And Gervonta Davis would be well within his right. But Shakur Stevenson wouldn't even get that. He would at least get the minimum, which is 25 to 30%, because it would be a unification fight. And if that's all Gervonta Davis was willing to give up, what he was mandated to give up because it'd be a unification fight, I do not want to hear anybody, if Shakur Stevenson says he's not happy with that, I do not want to hear anybody attacking Gervonta Davis and telling him he should give up more money because he's earned it. That's what y'all told me about Shakur Stevenson just now. He earned that, Dean. Why you worried about what he get paid, Dean? At least he's getting paid. Shakur Stevenson's earned it more than Gervonta Davis, especially when you're talking about money. I think even the most delusional person knows the answer to that question. So, Boxing Hacker, do you not care what they get paid now? If you don't care, then you need to apologize to Gervonta Davis for ever asking him to just make the fight. And when I tell y'all it's not that simple to just make the fight, it's because of money. But if you don't care about the money part, if you do not care what these fighters get made, then if a guy don't want to give up less than what he thinks he's worth, don't criticize him about it. If he fights Jake Paul, at least he's getting paid. Y'all already know what this is, though, right? Ding, by any means. And I holla at y'all.